Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody who joins us. My name is Ola Tamanova, and it's my pleasure to see all of you in Ukraine Media Center Ukraine Forum. It's been 10 years of the war, and today is day 736 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor. And now we have invited you to present the first headset training in Ukraine with the use of VR. The training was developed by the foundation called 2402. They launched the security training program for everybody who works and lives under the conditions of war. So let me introduce our speakers today. They are Katerina Sergatskova, co-founder and executive director of the 2402 Foundation, and Svetlana Musi, the operational manager of 2402 Foundation. Good afternoon. Thank you. So, Ms. Katerina, what is the training about? Whom is it supposed to help? In what way? So let's talk about it, how to undergo the training, what are the opportunities that it provides. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's important for me to tell about what we're doing because it's about everybody. You know, it's year 3 of the full-scale invasion now, and I think that we all need to find out the most possible about the fundamentals of security, about the security itself. It's the matter of our survival. So I would like to draw your attention to this presentation. If somebody is watching us online, if you see this presentation online, and we have simultaneous translation, we would be able to see it in the translation. Whoever needs, they may use the headsets to use the simultaneous translation. So who are we? 2402 Foundation was established at the beginning of the full-scale invasion 2 years ago, and since then we continue developing the security. We make the security trainings for the journalists, for those who document the war crimes of the Russian Federation in Ukraine, for the representatives of civil society, volunteers, everybody who works directly in the front lines or with the front. And now it's a part of the Danish organization called Daily Humanity, which is responsible for this Ukrainian program 2402 Foundation. So our main focus is the Haifa training, Haifa environment trainings. It has the components of tactical medicine, and within the 2 years we had such trainings for about 500 journalists who work in Ukraine. Mostly are Ukrainian journalists, producers, fixers, photographers, videographers, many of those who work for international media and help giving publicity to the war all around the world. We cooperate with the best experts from all around the world to create our training programs. We don't make them ourselves. It's important to gather the experience of those who was working in very different wars all around the world, including in Ukraine. Our local expertise is very important. It's important to exchange experience with international community. I want to say that it's important for us to learn quickly. It's the matter of our survival because it's year 3 of the war and we're probably in the most difficult situation within the whole period of warfare because the situation is deteriorating in the front lines. It's no secret to anybody, and international partners of Ukraine, they experience now their best times. In the United States is probably our strongest partner, and there is a preparation to the elections going on, and there is a threat that Donald Trump will come into office, who emphasized for a number of times that he wants to enter into armistice with Russia, and stop providing support to Ukraine, and we may end up with Europe, which doesn't have American support, which is a threat. Do we continue talking about this as journalists, as volunteers, as people who want to do something for our country in international arena, but at the same time we understand that we have to save ourselves, and in order to make it possible, we've developed the training program, intense regular trainings that are supposed to teach the most number of people in Ukraine possible the fundamentals of first aid, fundamentals of security, evaluation of risks, to make sure that we're best prepared to any scenarios. We understand that those scenarios can unfortunately be very, very different. I don't even want to mention the worst case scenarios, and hopefully this year we won't have those losses in Ukraine that many people are talking about. A little bit of insights from our program of our foundation that was undergone by about 500 journalists. About 90% of our participants who were undergoing the training in the beginning, they didn't know anything about the fundamentals of security, and they didn't know how to apply the tourniquet. Some of them were even seeing the tourniquet for the first time during the training, and it's quite illustrative, During the year 10 of the war, let alone the 2 years of the full-scale invasion, we still do not know how to defend ourselves. We don't have sufficient skills to save ourselves or our colleagues if we end up in some emergency situation, whether in Kiev, Kherson, or Bakhmut. And every other one, well, approximately every other recipient of the foundation keeps saying about the necessity of work with the mental health, and they emphasize the indicators, the patterns of long-lasting stress and other difficulties with mental health. It's very important too. We pay a lot of attention in our foundation to those issues too, and develop relevant programs that will be available shortly. So is there a solution to those problems that we highlight? Yes, there are solutions. They are complex and difficult, but the main thing that our foundation, our team, and our recipients who regularly attend their trainings keep saying is that security is not a privilege anymore. It's not a privilege for, at least for our region, for Ukraine. It's an absolute necessity, daily need of every single citizen who lives and works in Ukraine for the time being. I would even say, about the Eastern Europe and Europe in general as a region where a huge war is going on, which may reach everyone in the continent. So it's an absolute necessity, it's a need, and to cover that need, attention should be paid by everybody who one way or another works in the society, in that environment, who volunteers, who goes to the front lines, who works in the media, who covers the war in information front. For example, if there is an emergency coming up, God forbid, we will be feeling way calmer if we know that every other person in this room knows how to use the medikit, how to apply a tourniquet, or how to evacuate from this venue. Those are the fundamentals we frequently don't pay attention to because we're used to a comfortable life, and that's absolutely normal that we're used to the comfort. But at the same time, we have to learn to learn certain things to make sure that if and when an emergency arises, we are ready. As we say in our foundation, we will be happy if those skills that we train will never be of use to our recipients. So, in short, about our plan for the next year, the plan is huge, but we plan to train about 1,200 people per year. That's about physical trainings. We also expect to do the online trainings to cover a larger audience so that the larger audience has an access to those knowledge. We focus on journalists, human rights persons, and those who work in the front lines. So if among those who watch this conference or among those who read about it on the news are such people, please follow our announcements, check out our website, the website of the foundation. We're going to encourage the civil organizations to implement the best risk assessment practices, to develop the security culture on the organizational level, and to tell about it in different platforms. So item number 5, support survive the difficulties and preserve themselves. We all want to stay healthy and to see the end of the war, being mentally healthy and physically healthy. So a little bit about our approach. We always want the most progressive practices to be used in our work. Integration of technologies, digital technologies, we started using VR, and I'm gonna tell about this in more detail. Shortly, we are going to implement the AI in the processes of training. We're open to cooperations. We cooperate with Ukrainian and international organizations, with experts, to establish the best training programs for our people. And it's important for us to keep talking publicly about the security, because the more people know about the fundamentals of security, the calmer we all feel and the better and safer are our lives. Well, and talking about VR, I think it's the most important component for the sake of which you're all attending this event. The Foundation 2024 became an authorized representative of Headset Immersive, a company established in Great Britain and operating in the United States. It's a company which develops VR scenarios for training, first of all for the journalists and for the human rights activists. In coordination with them, we've developed a training with the use of virtual reality to make sure we can train them in the best manner possible. The journalists, the civil activists, in working with the challenges in the digital and physical space. So basically, why VR technologies are being engaged in training? It's an important technology that you most of all know about from the games, from other areas, but in training they play a completely different role. They help to efficiently train the people, because virtual reality in fact is a place where a person can commit their mistakes that will remain in that virtual reality and will never be committed in the real reality. So we help them to have certain experiences, including negative experiences that do not influence their real lives, that may save their lives or lives of their colleagues in emergencies. So here are the two scenarios that we use in our training. First of all, it's the coverage of civil protest. This scenario works first of all with the fight or flight reaction. Is the body reaction to extreme stress. When you see that, for example, there is an aggressive person charging at you, and you understand that you're under threat, basically you have two options. Usually you either flee or you start fighting. So those are the two options of development of events. So this scenario works with this reaction. It helps a person to realize what they would do if a person with whom they work, the colleague with whom they work during the protest, which is turned into a havoc and chaos, if the colleague is being beaten or attacked. And we use this module in our risk evaluation training on one hand, and on the other hand in first aid training, because when people undergo this scenario, it lasts about 12 minutes. After that, a person takes this VR set off, and together with the trainers they start developing and training their first aid skills, staying basically in that artificially created condition of stress. And we help people to relieve that stress. We demonstrate how to relieve the stress. And yet another scenario is the digital security. I love telling about this scenario because usually the people do not pay attention to their digital security. That's something boring, some boring work that nobody loves. Nobody likes creating long passwords. Nobody likes coding and ciphering their disks, encrypting their disks, because we think that nobody is going to hack it. Nobody needs my data, right? Mostly the people who are not public like saying that somebody who are not decision makers, who don't show up on TV screens, but they usually become the targets because they're way easier to hack, and through them get access to the people with whom they communicate, including decision makers, influencers, journalists, and quite different persons. So this model, it helps, it creates the reality in which two journalists go to a foreign country to film civil commotions. And they're supposed to do it in a clandestine way because the special services in that country, that's an authoritarian country, very similar to Russia. Even the accent of the people who speak there is very similar to Russian. And the task of the journalists is to make an interview in a clandestine way and to leave the country. And the participant in that virtual reality becomes one of the protagonists of that situation, and they are supposed to make a set of decisions that eventually result in something, whether they are detained, their colleagues are detained, whether the sources of information are uncovered which did not give interview in this country. So it's a very interesting situation in which you start understanding to what extent your decisions in the digital virtual space with all those boring work and long passwords, how they become a reality, how they start influencing you directly. So this is why it's a type of valuable scenario, in my opinion, not only for the journalists or human rights activists, but to anybody who one way or another works with the information space and uses the gadgets in their work. So then I would like us to launch a video. That's the address of Kate Parkinson, the co-founder of Headset program, who basically developed these VR modules and who is very supportive of Ukraine. She was a reporter, a journalist. She used to work in Ukraine, and we were developing this Ukrainian program for 2402 Foundation together. So can we put her address on the screen?
There in person today, but our friends at the 2402 Foundation have kindly asked me to share a little bit about our journey, our mission, and why this partnership means so much to us. Our story very much starts in the field. My co-founder Ella and I are both seasoned journalists and have navigated many high-risk environments. Our push to innovate training was born from a deeply personal event. In 2011, while I was reporting in Libya, my husband was critically injured by a rocket-propelled grenade. In that moment of chaos, I found myself totally unprepared, with my training failing to kick in. It was this incident that highlighted the significant gap in existing training programs, which, as many of you, I'm sure, are very aware, often overlook the emotional and psychological readiness needed in crisis situations. That realization really sparked the creation of Headset Immersive. We've embraced virtual reality technology not as a panacea, but as a transformative tool for experiential learning. It offers immersive simulations that build not only skills, but also resilience, preparing users mentally and emotionally for high-pressure scenarios. Initially, our virtual reality training tools were designed with journalists in mind, reflecting our own backgrounds. However, we've since expanded our scope to serve professionals in many high-risk and high-stress fields where quick, informed decision-making is critical. Our collaboration with organizations like Vice, Al Arabiya, the Foley Foundation, and the Rory Peck Trust, alongside EU-funded projects in Georgia, Armenia, and Moldova, and partnerships across Central Europe with Internews, underscores the broad application and demand for our VR training modules. Currently, our immersive suite includes modules on civil unrest, extreme weather, and digital security, offering a range of scenarios from navigating hostile protests to surviving natural disasters and protecting sensitive information whilst reporting in oppressive regimes. We're excited about expanding this suite and will very soon be incorporating simulations on increasingly lethal threats in conflict zones, critical road traffic incidents, and emergency medical simulations tailored to the real-world challenges faced by journalists, especially in volatile regions like Ukraine. I cannot stress enough how invaluable this partnership with the 2402 Foundation is to us. It underscores our commitment to the safety and preparedness of journalists worldwide, particularly as the war in Ukraine underscores the ongoing need for comprehensive, impactful training. Our shared goal is to enhance the resilience and capabilities of those on the front lines of storytelling, ensuring they can navigate and report on the complexities of war with confidence and security. Thank you for allowing us to share our vision and work. We are deeply committed to this cause and so grateful for the opportunity to collaborate with the 2402 Foundation, making a tangible difference in the lives of journalists and beyond.
Thank you very much. If we may get back to the presentation, thank you. So talking about the key things this year, we have planned a lot of regular trainings, classical 3-day security training, HIFAT, in which we work on the topics of the security fundamentals, tactical medicine, risk evaluation, mine safety, and digital security, and more specific, smaller trainings on mental health training and resilience or adaptivity evaluation of risks profound course for those who want to develop in that area, pre-medical aid, tactical medicine, and complex culture of security for organizations. This is what we work on and that we will continue working on. All those things, uh, all those trainings, we will do them during this year. They will be going on a weekly basis, very intense. Our goal is at least 1,200 people to be trained this year, so please apply, spread the word, invite your colleagues. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, we will have a test drive of these VR modules. It's gonna happen in Podil, in Kino 42. The detailed information is available on our website, or you can ask Olga and Anna, who are present in the studio today. All those trainings will be free for the representatives of the Ukrainian organizations, journalists, volunteer media organizations, civil organizations, and it's all possible thanks to the support of our international donors, Justice for Journalists, Digital Defenders, People in Need, and other organizations that regularly support us. Plus, we have donors who donate us from all over the world regularly so we can develop and help others. And Svetlana is going to say a couple of words about the process itself and about some plans with the training venues, because we have small news about that. So Svetlana, please tell us what are the groups, what is the number of people, how the things are going on. Well, you can apply directly to Olga, the manager who is in charge for the events. Also, you can check out the calendar of the events planned for the coming weeks or coming month, and to pick the program or a training which is relevant for you right now. Usually, if we talk about HIFAT trainings, the group is 24 people max, so that the training is efficient, and based upon the request we can do trainings for specific organizations. If, for example, there are some specific topics you want to pay attention to, or if there is a need for personal advice, for example, there are existing security protocols in the organization and the organization wants to check them to work through some practical scenarios, we can help them with that. Also, in our trainings, we pay more attention to practical experience because now there is a lot of information available, but it's mostly of theoretical nature. And talking about security, the most important is to create the behavior model. The model of behavior when people under the effect of hormones can remember, can recall, and act the training and act in compliance with the security protocols. So this is what we pay attention to. Basically, VR trainings are one of the most important tools, most important methods that was created to create those behavior models. Also, I would like to mention about an important news for our foundation. Now we're in the process of opening of the physical venue, physical security space here in Kiev. I hope that within the month coming we will make announcements. We are going to invite you, representatives of companies, of the media companies, to for the presentation of this space. It will be in Golden Gate in the center of the city. So why do we create it? First of all, there will be a lecture space, there will be an office of our foundation, and also there will be a small showroom where we sell the products from our trainings, some literature. It will be a space that will operate on a daily basis, and every time you can report to it for consultation on trainings with a request on cooperation. We will have individual consultations there, and on top of that there will be a cafeteria in that space. That will be a community creating factor where you can come not only as to the office, but you can also work there, have a meeting there, discuss something, discuss the news. It will be very convenient space. I mean, it's in the center of the city where we all work. We will make an announcement and we will be waiting for you there. So this year we plan to work mostly not with the professional journalist audience, but also with other audiences who have to work under conditions of threat, including average Kievites. And we're aimed not only at trainings but at building the security culture. So let's talk a little bit about the team. Who are your instructors? Are they certified? It's important now, you know. And talking about the program itself, is it approved by somebody? Is it certified by somebody? Well, thank you for this question. In fact, we have instructors responsible for the program. They are TechMed instructors. The head of the program is Dmytro Gladishevsky. Many people know him. Many of those who attended our trainings, he works with our recipients all the time. He's one of the volunteers of Moto Health, a Kievan organization that helps people during road traffic accidents, and he is certified as a trainer and as a TechMed specialist. He is a military medic who trained probably more than 2,000 military within this period of the full-scale invasion. He's in charge of the TechMed. Roman Stepanovich, a co-founder of the foundation, is in charge of risk evaluation. He develops that program in coordination with the experts. And we are about to receive an ISO risk evaluation certificate shortly, and within a couple of months we will be certified. So what we do is, like, you know, there is no certificate, like no joint certificate for all of our activities, or there is no office somewhere in New York that, or in London, that approves what we do. It's a very, you know, special area. It's a mosaic of knowledge and expertise which get united into a program. HIFAD itself is a composition of the training program that includes certain key components like tactical medicine or first aid, risk evaluation, digital security, mine safety. Sometimes it's also included in this program. Sometimes we include some practical things, some practical scenarios, like with the hostages, for example. It's not so relevant for Ukraine. This is why we don't use this scenario extensively. So it's a set of knowledge. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear colleagues, dear guests. Do we have any questions on the floor? Please join our conversation in case you do have any. Good afternoon, Anna Nagorna, Bezpeka Media. So can you please tell us how did you find the contractor? Why did you choose headset immersive? I have to recognize that we didn't have any bid to choose a partner because headset immersive is probably the only company in the world who deals with the issues of security for journalists and the media, and we got familiarized with their work in New York during the ECOS Alliance Summit. 2402 Foundation is a part of their network of the independent organizations dealing with the security culture in media, and Headset is a part of this network too, and they've presented their successful cases. They've demonstrated how this VR, back then it was a protest civil commotion scenario, and I had an opportunity to see the way it works. It was the beginning of the full-scale invasion. It was like 4 months after the beginning of the big war, and I realized right away that this is something that we need. We need it urgently, because for those journalists who have just started working in the fields and who were forced to become the war correspondents, it's important to provide them with such knowledge so they can use them in practice right away, specifically for the young ones who have just started their way in this profession. It's a very efficient tool. So if there was a choice, we could have talked about it, but so far they are the only ones in this field, and I'm proud of having brought them to Ukraine. Thank you very much. Thank you for what you're doing. In fact, the security of the journalists and everybody who works directly in the front lines, in the forward edge of the battle area, it's very important for all of us. Thank you. And obviously, we want to thank our security and defense forces, thanks to whom we can have events like this. Thank you very much. Our next event is at 1400, and we will talk about the operation of pyrotechnical units of State Emergency Service of Ukraine. Stay with us, stay tuned. Let's continue working together for our victory. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Thank you.